With 2023 officially coming to a close and 2024 here looking ready to go within weeks, what will Don't Starve Together look like a year from now, folks? What are our expectations and anticipations following trees, lunar leaves, and a whole lot of plan Bs? And while it's obvious that those are the questions of the day here, they're also the questions of the year, as I wanted to get the gears turning again with exactly this. What am I hoping for in 2024 for this guy? And maybe them right there, her beyond that, guy way in the back. You get the idea, because we start with the obvious. Skill trees. But not actually skill trees. For these four I'm about to bring up, it's not really about the content. But what are these four? Walter, Winona, Wendy, and Weber. Those are the ones that I really am saying, like, Clay can knock these out of the park. And if they do it, I might actually resend some of the words that I've been saying about skill trees. Because yes, you might be sitting there and saying, Beard, you hate skill trees. Wrong. I think they are inherently bad for the game for the future, but I can still appreciate what they give us, and that's exactly what I want to talk about. I'm not just there for the content that the skill trees are going to give all these characters and thus the game as a whole. I'm there for a more refined tree mechanic. Probably should have made that plural, but the point still stands, and I'll make this quick. Look at the Wigford skill tree, and there's 3 skills that are locked behind some specific action that we can choose to do at any point within our own gameplay in order to unlock said skills, and then we can pick them and use them. That's amazing. That is a great track to be on, Clay. And no, I'm not saying you got to do that for everything and every skill, but I like that idea. So if you can combine that with maybe some sort of refinement with the insight point accumulation, so we're not just, that was a word, so we're not just having all 15 immediately on day 1, I think we're actually going to be in a better spot overall. So yes, me, the skill tree hater, is actually not hating on anything. I'm just kind of hoping that they make it better, because it's very obvious how to make it better. And you know what also can be made better? Communication. Because remember how From Beyond was supposed to be 3 parts? And if you don't believe me, here's Clay's own words, literally telling us that it was going to be 3 parts, only for them to not do that anymore. So here's part 2 of my videos of expectations and anticipations, everyone. Can we please get back on track of From Beyond, the new story arc that was so cool when you first introduced it, that everyone was on top of it, and now we're just kind of waiting for Clay to do something, and they keep telling us to wait for what they're doing? Yeah, that's not good. Folks, I already pointed out a lot of things about this very segment in some of our 2023 recaps. I don't want to keep you here long. I just want to point something out. Clay said they were setting the stage for something, which they did. They set the stage for taking root and Terra's Below, and then part 3 was going to clash it all together in some massive, super duper overarching thing with Charlie and Wagstaff, the key players, and they're both sides, somehow, some way, clashing with us in the middle, and it was going to be an insane war for the constant, and who knows what was going to happen, right? Wrong. Because none of that happened. And it unfortunately all points back to how they handle skill trees and the affinities, and what they did with part 3 of From Beyond, it not being actually part 3 From Beyond. And I'm just asking Clay, slow down a little bit. I know this is your moneymaker. Don't Starve Together is your baby. Might be time to say goodbye to the baby a little bit. Key players that you have set up rather nicely, actually, are now fully in play, both in the lore and in literal gameplay. So that needs to matter. If you keep dragging out content for the sake of bloat and not refinement, guess what? The quality of life of the game suffers, and people are starting to notice that. So part 3 of my expectations turned potential reality is this, everyone. Quality of life improvements. Refinement over bloat for gameplay wise. That's as simple as it comes, everyone. I've said over and over and over again that Clay is at its best when it takes pre-existing content that they have added themselves, and they go back to it and be like, you know what? The game has progressed to this point now. Let's actually progress this close to that too. It happens every time. Every single quality of life update that they have ever released is the best freaking update they've ever done. I guarantee it. But I am not going to sit here for 10 minutes and do exactly what I did in another video of a 2023 recap and just end with this. Just sit there yourself and think about how much content, how many pieces of gear and items and structures and all that have been left behind and are just useless or not even known about anymore. But you can also look at the progression of early and mid-game stuff instead of just throwing everything at the end of the end game, because there's still so many people who, one, never get there ever, and two, take so long to get there regardless, and if they're tenured enough, probably are going to take part of it, but they're still going to be like, wow, that took forever. Why did I do it? So once again, my ask in anticipation of Clay for 2024 in this regard is as simple as it comes. Slow down. But not for our last piece that could potentially turn 2024 into the greatest year we've ever seen, everyone. Lore. Without a doubt, 2023 was the best year of it we have ever flippin' seen, but that just makes sense. It's the natural progression of things. So kind of tying into what I've been saying all day long already, bring it home, Clay. Give us actual concrete answers, not the typical Clay teases. Wrap up the things that are so obvious that it hurts, and also return to things that have been waiting in the game for 2 years and are just like, not doing anything. And finally, harking back to the From Beyond discussion, we have so many key players literally in game now that are seemingly doing nothing, or at least nothing that we would anticipate they would be doing. Like Wanda is a little time traveler who has seen every single piece of this multiverse stuff, and what has become of that? I get it, Clay does a lot of this type of stuff in their animations, but that's why I also said give us answers and not teases anymore. They gotta stop dragging things out. And funny enough, that's how we wrap this up, by not dragging too many things out, everyone. I'm excited for the skill trees. I'll see what they do, and if they're bad, I'm gonna say they're bad. If they do something good, they're gonna do something good. And if Clay actually refines some of their mechanics around them, awesome. If Clay also returns the content updates and finishes what they have been literally setting up without actually just adding more for no other reason but to have a content update to release so they can make money for it, fantastic. If they go back to pre-existing content and give it a quality of life boost, that's going to make the game feel so much more cohesive, especially if they touch on the early and mid-game stuff, as I mentioned, and then they do their typical Clay lore stuff, which is the best things they do, but also finally give us some concrete answers of both their plans and what's happening in this fake video game universe. 2024 is gonna be the best year Don't Starve Together has probably ever seen, and that is saying something, especially when it's coming out of this mouth. But folks, just like I told Clay not to do, I ain't dragging this out anymore. I'm done. So let me know your comments down below. The roadmap should be here very, very soon, and I will obviously be right there to cover it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.